Hello, this is Terry from Fabric Junction in the beautiful Black Hills of South Dakota. Today I'm going to show you how to make the disappearing 9-patch. And here is our lovely quilt that we did in-house using the disappearing 9-patch technique. Christopher will now show you what we used. What I'm showing you today, we used 5-inch strips, but you can also use 5-inch charms if you would like, and you can make it very scrappy, or you can make it 9 different colors, your choice. But we're using 9 different colors of a beautiful line of fabric to make our block. Since we're sewing strips together, I've already done a couple of them, but you lay out your strips, make a decision on how you want yours to use your 5-inch squares. Once you've made that decision, sew your strips together in sections of 3. Okay, I'm going to stop partway because I'm only going to cut one block off of this. When I was making the quilt, I actually sewed the full length of the strips. But to save time, I just sewed enough to use today. Once you have it sewn, you need to press. And this is one of the few times that I watch real close how I press. And as you can see on this particular one, the outside combination of 3, I pressed outward. What was going to be my center is going to be my center. I pressed inward. So then, because this one is going to be the outside, I'm going to press this one so my seam allowances go to the outside. The reason for that is because it just makes it that much easier when you put it together, that you already have your seams going the direction that you need it. It's kind of one of the few times that I don't always follow the press to the dark, because it can't always be done. Now, my ruler is 5 inches, and I need to straighten up my edge. It's off just a smidgen because I need that to be a straight line. So to do that, I find one of the lines on my ruler, and my lines are starting to kind of get pretty light, but I pick a line on my ruler and line it up on the seam allowance. I check to make sure that it's the same distance here, and I square up the side. Once I've done that, now I can cut my 5-inch set of blocks. Got strings all over. There we go. So I line up on the edge, and like I said, I have the advantage. This straight edge is 5 inches wide. Otherwise, I'd have to line it up on my board. There we go. So I have my 5 inches, and I know this is the position that I want it in. But before I do that, I got a little bit of wrinkle in a section. I want to kind of get it to lay a little bit flatter. There we go. So that is where I like that one. And now we sew. And because I've already pressed those to each side, they just want to snuggle next to each other as I sew. Okay. Get the second one to line up. Make sure I've got everything in there. go. Okay, my intersections look good. Now I need to press that seam. And it's up to you which direction you want to press it. Okay, once I have it pressed, the trick to this is to cut it in half. We need to cut it in half this way and this way. If you measure your square now, it should be 4.5 inches because you've used your 1/4 inch seam allowance, so now you're at 4.5. Half of 4.5 is 2.25. So line up your straight edge on one of your seams at 2.25 and cut. Now before I turn it, I do the same thing. I find my 2.25, make sure it's lined up on that seam, and again I cut. Once I have cut, I determine which of my squares are going to stay in place and which ones I'm going to trade. I had already decided these two are going to stay exactly where they are. These two are going to trade places. And that's the look on this particular quilt I wanted. I wanted my darks over here and I wanted kind of my light purples over here. So that's how I came up with just trading those two. Now I fold over and start sewing again. My two sewn together. I don't separate them so that I know that they go together this way. And when I do this, a lot of times the one on the bottom, I tip down, and the one at the top, I tip forward. Line up my edge. And there we have it, our beautiful disappearing 9 patch that looks like you worked at cutting a ton of pieces. In reality, you did not. You can place it in your quilt. I happen to choose to leave all mine exactly the same, but you could decide that maybe you want to give a 1/4 turn, maybe 1/2 turn. That's up to you. You can be as creative with this as you would like. Thank you for watching, and we do have our beautiful fabrics available online at our website.